Hello everyone, welcome to Your Health Space. I'm Dr. Richard Ben, and today I want to share with you a revelation that will completely change the way you take care of your body, and above all, the way you see the world. Literally, we are going to talk about how to protect our greatest treasure, our eyesight. Did you know that once you cross the age of 60, more than 4 out of every 10 people already begin to show the first signs of deterioration in the center of the retina? The most concerning thing about this situation is that the vast majority notice absolutely nothing until the picture becomes blurry and the damage has already progressed. That's why, before diving into the big secret of the day, I want to ask you a huge favor. I'd love for you to write in the comments section below what city or country you're tuning in from and what it is you most enjoy seeing in your day-to-day life. Whether it's the faces of your grandchildren, a good book, or the sunrise. I ask because we build this channel together, and knowing your stories helps me prepare the best medical advice for you. Also, by commenting, we form an active community of people who decide to take control of their well-being. I will be reading every single one personally. Now then, today I'm not here to give you just any recommendation. I'm here to reveal the definitive nutrient, that essential vitamin that acts as a true protective shield, capable of stopping ocular aging in its tracks. If we choose to ignore what the body asks of us, I guarantee that visual deterioration will accelerate far more quickly than you imagine. So I ask you to stay with me for a few minutes, because the information you'll discover today has the power to rescue your autonomy and bring the brightness back to your days. To understand how to defend our visual health, we must first understand how our eyesight fades. Eyes are not like a light bulb that flickers and suddenly burns out completely, leaving everything in darkness. No, my dear friends, the process is far more subtle and dangerous. It's like a lit candle that slowly and silently consumes itself, almost without us noticing. Every day that passes without us giving our body the proper fuel, the cells responsible for capturing light at the back of the eye suffer constant wear. Imagine a microchemical battle happening at this very moment inside your eyes. On one side, we have free radicals acting like small destructive agents that attack and weaken ocular tissue. On the other side, the lens, that natural, flexible lens we are born with, begins to lose its elasticity, becoming increasingly rigid and opaque. At the same time, the macula, which is precisely the central point where our clearest and most detailed vision is generated, begins to accumulate debris. It's like a pipe that slowly clogs over the years, preventing light from passing through with full clarity. As a direct consequence of all this nutritional neglect, the electrical signal that should travel powerfully and cleanly to our brain weakens. And what does this silent journey translate to? Those annoying blurs when trying to read the small print on a package, dangerous glare when driving at night, or that constant sensation of having an opaque film in front of us, as if the world had been robbed of its color and contrast. The saddest part is that our body, which is extremely intelligent, sends us small distress signals. But what do we usually do? We simply shrug our shoulders and justify it by saying, well, it's just the effects of age. It's normal. Today, with all the respect, affection, and medical authority that experience gives me, I want to tell you, it is not just a matter of years. In a great number of cases, what we are truly suffering from is severe ocular malnutrition, a lack of specific tools that our eyes beg us for in order to withstand the passage of time. Think of it this way. It's like trying to drive a top-of-the-line car, but completely refusing to change the oil. The problem isn't that the car is old. The problem is that it lacks the most basic maintenance to keep running. And believe me, our eyes are a far more complex, delicate, and valuable mechanism than any vehicle ever invented. This brings us to debunk a story we've all heard since childhood. I'm sure you remember being told that eating carrots would give us eagle-like vision capable of seeing in the deepest darkness. Now, I won't lie to you, that claim has a grain of truth. Carrots are a fantastic source of beta-carotenes, which our body processes and transforms into vitamin A. This vitamin is an absolutely indispensable pillar for the retina to capture light properly, especially in low-light environments. However, here comes the real truth. That uncomfortable truth that almost no one shares in consultations, and that is vital for you to know if you want to protect your visual health. Vitamin A alone is not enough. To give you a clear idea, imagine your favorite soccer team hires the best goalkeeper on the planet, a true titan who stops every ball. But what happens if on game day, the rest of the players don't show up on the field? If there are no defenders to stop the opposing team's advance, no midfielders to organize the game, no matter how extraordinary that goalkeeper is, they will inevitably end up losing the match. With the nutrition of our eyes, exactly the same thing happens. If vitamin A takes to the field alone without the support of its teammates, the damage caused by the wear of time continues its destructive advance with nothing to stop it. In fact, science shows us that if this nutrient does not work in conjunction with other specific antioxidants, it can end up oxidizing itself, becoming a problem rather than a solution. That is why the retina does not need a lone hero. What it demands is a complete squad of defenders working in perfect harmony. Our eyes need specialized protectors that filter harmful radiation, repairers that neutralize daily attacks, and lubricants that keep the entire system running smoothly and efficiently. Believing that a single food or isolated vitamin solves the problem is a very limited and frankly dangerous perspective for the future of our vision. It is time to leave these simplistic myths behind and open the door to truly comprehensive ocular nutrition. That's why I'd like to introduce you to the first dynamic duo in this great defensive strategy, lutein and zeaxanthin. These two powerful compounds are the true guardians of the macula, that central area of the retina I already mentioned, which allows us to see faces, read, and perceive the finest details. And do you know where they choose to settle? Right in the heart of our eyes, acting as internal, completely natural sunglasses. Their main job is to block and absorb high-energy blue light, that aggressive radiation constantly emitted by cell phone screens, tablets, computers, and of course, the sun's rays. The medical evidence is compelling. High-level research has confirmed that a daily intake of just 6 milligrams of lutein can reduce the likelihood of developing macular degeneration by an astonishing 43%. We are talking about cutting the risk nearly in half. Consider the enormously positive impact this represents for maintaining our autonomy and avoiding the leading causes of visual loss as we age. It is literally placing an invisible suit of armor over our gaze. The excellent news is that these protectors are not found in expensive medications, but in highly accessible and delicious foods we can enjoy every day. Fresh spinach is a true champion in this regard, as are kale, corn, and of course, the noble egg yolk. To make the most of these guardians, I'm going to share a medical tip worth its weight in gold. Lutein and zeaxanthin are fat-soluble nutrients. This means, in simple terms, that our body absorbs them much better when consumed alongside a healthy fat. So if you make a good spinach salad or a green smoothie in the morning, add a drizzle of extra virgin olive oil. That small detail can multiply the absorption of these protectors up to threefold. Do not underestimate the power of these natural pigments. They are your strongest allies against the daily bombardment of screens. Now let's move on to the second great defender on our list, vitamin E. This is no ordinary component. It is the most important fat-protecting antioxidant our body possesses. Why is it so crucial for eyesight? Think of vitamin E as a high-security lock that seals and protects the walls of the photosensitive cells of the retina, preventing free radicals from entering to cause damage. Its main mission is to deactivate these destructive agents before they manage to harm the essential fatty acids that structure our eyes. Without the presence of vitamin E, the membranes of the retina become extremely fragile, they tear, and the cells completely lose their ability to function properly. Science firmly supports its relevance. The celebrated ARED study, one of the largest and most important clinical investigations in the history of ophthalmological health, discovered something truly remarkable. An adequate dose of vitamin E can slow the progression of advanced visual degeneration by up to 25%. A quarter of extra protection is an enormous difference when the goal is to preserve our independence, to continue seeing the world clearly. And where do we find this indispensable protector? Nature gives it to us in almonds, walnuts, sunflower seeds, and avocado. A small handful of nuts a day can work wonders for your health. However, as your doctor, I must give you a very important warning about this. Be very careful with those nuts you buy already shelled and that have been stored for months in plastic bags at the supermarket. Vitamin E is extremely sensitive to oxidation. This means that prolonged contact with air and sunlight destroys it completely. Therefore, my medical recommendation is that, whenever possible, you buy nuts in their original shell. Once you shell them at home, store them in a tightly sealed glass jar in a cool place, even inside the refrigerator. This way, we ensure that this protective lock retains all its strength to defend your precious eyes. And since we are talking about protecting the structures of our gaze, it's time to oil those visual gears. Our third great reinforcement in this battle is an old friend of general health, but one that plays a truly stellar role in the eyes: omega-3 fatty acids, specifically DHA. Did you know that DHA is so vital that it represents no less than 60% of the total composition of the retina? That's right, 60%. This component is not a simple accessory. It is the very structure upon which the small, light-receiving antenna of our eyes rest. It is absolutely fundamental for the transmission of the visual signal, from the eye to the brain, to travel at the speed of light, quickly and efficiently. If we lack DHA, that communication becomes slow, the signal weakens, and our vision loses clarity completely. But the benefits of this wonderful oil don't stop there. Omega-3s are powerful natural anti-inflammatories in the ocular domain. This translates into a direct reduction in chronic inflammation, which lies behind almost all visual diseases that come with age. Additionally, it is the definitive treatment for the bothersome dry eye syndrome. If you constantly suffer from burning, itching, redness, or that uncomfortable sensation of having sand in your eyes, omega-3 may be your salvation, as it improves the quality of tears so they don't evaporate so quickly. How can we incorporate this wonderful lubricating oil into our daily lives? The most direct and effective way is by consuming oily fish such as salmon, sardines, or tuna. Enjoying these foods just twice a week is more than enough to give your eyes the boost they need. Now, if you're not particularly enthusiastic about the taste of fish, or if you're concerned about the purity of today's food supply, a high-quality fish oil supplement with molecular distillation is a fantastic alternative. That distillation process guarantees an oil completely free of toxins and heavy metals. For my dear friends who follow a vegetarian or vegan diet, don't worry, nature has solutions for everyone. Marine algae are the original source from which fish themselves obtain their omega-3, and today there are algae oil-based supplements that will provide exactly the same structural benefit for your retina. And when do changes begin to be noticed? In my practice, patients report that in a period of just 3 weeks of being consistent, they begin to feel an enormous difference. The burning decreases, there is greater comfort when blinking, and most excitingly of all, they perceive a much clearer vision, especially at dusk. This has nothing to do with magic, my friends. It is pure applied molecular biology. It is the direct result of giving your eyes the exact fuel they require to function at their maximum capacity. But get ready, because now we arrive at the crown jewel, the true star of this video, and without a doubt, the greatest revelation in ophthalmological health in recent times: vitamin C. You likely associate this vitamin only with immune defenses or colds, but the medical fact I'm about to share will leave you completely astonished. The aqueous humor, that transparent liquid that fills the front of our eye and is responsible for nourishing the lens and cornea, has the highest concentration of vitamin C in the entire human body. It is up to 50 times more concentrated in our eyes than in the bloodstream itself. Why do you think our body decides to accumulate this nutrient in such a massive way? The answer is as elegant as it is vital, because vitamin C is our first line of defense against hydrogen peroxide, an extremely aggressive free radical generated every time light strikes the retina. Imagine that every time we look at a cell phone screen, go for a walk in the sun, or simply live our daily lives, a micro explosion of oxidative stress is produced inside our eyes. If we don't have optimal levels of vitamin C to neutralize that impact, this free radical begins to wreak havoc. It attacks the proteins of the lens, oxidizes them, damages them, and very slowly but relentlessly, those proteins begin to clump together and become opaque. The final result? The appearance of cataracts, that annoying haze that little by little robs us of the world's clarity. The relationship between vitamin C and the prevention of cataracts is extremely well documented by modern science. A major medical analysis that reviewed multiple studies of the highest clinical quality concluded that people who ensure an optimal intake of vitamin C manage to reduce the risk of developing cataracts by an impressive 70%. 70%. A figure of that magnitude is something that no health professional and no person over 60 can afford to ignore. We are not talking about an insignificant benefit. We are talking about a colossal shield for your eyes. And let me clarify something. The solution is not to rush to the pharmacy to buy high-dose pills. The real answer lies in real foods, because they come accompanied by their natural assistants, bioflavonoids, compounds that multiply the power of the nutrient and ensure the body makes full use of it. To reach that daily protection goal in a completely delicious and natural way, I'm going to share my preferred medical strategy. It's not about complicating your life, but about combining foods well on your plate. For example, eating 2 fresh kiwis a day provides an excellent nutritional base. If you add a red bell pepper cut into strips, whether raw in a salad or as a crunchy mid-afternoon snack, and complement it with a cup of fresh strawberries, you will have far surpassed the target your eyes need to shield themselves against aging. The best part of this combination is that your digestive system will absorb it almost entirely, because nature is wise and packages these foods with fiber and antioxidants that facilitate their absorption. However, vitamin C has one small Achilles heel. It is water-soluble and is destroyed with remarkable ease when exposed to heat and air. For it to truly work its magic on your visual health, we need to apply 2 fundamental rules: regenerate it and don't sabotage it. Let's first talk about how to build a perfect team inside your body. Remember I mentioned that vitamin E acts as a lock that protects cells? Well, when vitamin E stops an attack from free radicals, it becomes deactivated. It sacrifices itself to protect us. This is where vitamin C comes to the rescue, with the astonishing ability to rebuild damaged vitamin E and restore all of its defensive power. It is a virtuous cycle of mutual assistance that multiplies the effectiveness of both nutrients. That's why consuming them together is an extremely wise decision. The second rule is to avoid their worst enemy, refined sugars. I know this might sound like the typical doctor's lecture, but there is a very precise scientific explanation for this. Glucose, the processed sugar that abounds in sweetbreads, sodas, and candies, uses the same entry points as vitamin C to enter our cells. If your blood is saturated with sugar, it monopolizes all the entry points and leaves vitamin C completely out of the game, preventing it from reaching your eyes. Furthermore, excessive consumption of refined sugars causes very high insulin spikes, which increases inflammation throughout the body and completely nullifies the defensive efforts of antioxidants. So what would the perfect breakfast be to enhance vitamin C and shield our vision from early in the morning? Imagine this on your table, a bowl of plain yogurt completely free of added sugars, accompanied by a good handful of fresh strawberries or kiwis, a few walnuts to provide the vitamin E and omega-3 we so need, and a touch of natural honey or pure stevia if you wish to sweeten it. This menu is not only a delight for the palate, it represents a true nutritional powerhouse where nutrients work in perfect synchrony. It is an option very low in processed sugars, rich in fiber, and specifically designed to give your eyes all the tools they need to stay radiant, healthy, and well protected. I assure you, you're going to love it if you try it. Our body is a masterpiece of nature and has very clear ways of communicating with us. The only problem is that sometimes we don't know how to listen to its messages. How can you identify whether your eyes and your overall reserves are suffering from a lack of vitamin C? Pay close attention to these small but powerful distress signals. One of the most common symptoms occurs when we move from a very bright environment to a dark one. For example, when you come in from a sunny day outside into a room with the lights off. If your eyes take more than 5 minutes to fully adjust and allow you to see shapes clearly, that is a clear sign that the receptor cells of the retina are not regenerating at the proper speed due to a lack of antioxidants. Another important signal is noticing that the colors around you no longer look as vivid or vibrant as before. If you feel that everything has a slight grayish or washed out tone, your cells responsible for capturing color may be weakened. There is an even more obvious warning that often causes great alarm: the frequent appearance of small, broken capillaries or hemorrhages in the whites of the eyes, what we commonly call persistent red eyes, with no allergy or lack of sleep to explain it. Vitamin C is the structural pillar that maintains the strength and elasticity of the capillaries, those microscopic blood vessels that nourish our vision. If we lack this nutrient, the vessels become extremely fragile and break with any effort. And the alerts don't stay confined to eyesight alone, my friends. Since this vitamin is indispensable for producing collagen, if you notice that you get bruises on your arms or legs from an insignificant bump, or if your gums bleed every time you brush your teeth, your body is screaming that its antioxidant reserves are in the red. Skin that takes a very long time to heal a small wound is also a direct message. Please, let us not ignore these warnings by justifying them as the ailments of old age. They are not. They are nutritional deficiencies that we can and must correct before they become a bigger problem. To make things very easy for you, I've designed an express routine that will take you less than 60 seconds to organize throughout the day and that will protect your vision starting today. When you wake up, before checking your phone or rushing out, take a glass of warm water with the juice of half a freshly squeezed lemon. This small action is a direct injection of antioxidants that is excellently absorbed because the stomach is empty. At breakfast, always add a citrus fruit or a bowl of strawberries alongside your handful of almonds. At lunch, make sure your plate has color. A good portion of spinach or kale with raw red bell pepper, all dressed with a generous drizzle of olive oil. At dinner, look for a light protein like salmon or a boiled egg that will give your retina the nighttime rest and repair it so deserves. Before going to sleep, there is a fundamental step that is often overlooked. Turn off all screens at least 1 hour before bed. Your phone, tablet, and television emit blue light that not only disrupts sleep, but destroys the vitamin C the retina needs to repair itself overnight. If you follow this routine for a month, I guarantee you will notice less fatigue and greater clarity. Now, I want to warn you about a very common mistake in consultations: believing that a supplement in pill form solves everything. Many people think a commercial multivitamin replaces a good diet, but that is not the case. Without the natural matrix of food, nutrient absorption drops sharply. A supplement is like a single musician playing a melody. It may sound nice, but it will never compare to the richness of a full orchestra, which is what a real food represents with its fiber, water, and minerals. Science shows that vitamin C from a fresh kiwi raises levels in the body 12% more than the same dose in an isolated pill. Therefore, unless your doctor detects a severe deficiency through blood tests or you suffer from an intestinal absorption problem, the golden rule will always be food first. Food is our natural pharmacy. Every week, I receive very valuable questions that I'd like to answer briefly. For example, people ask whether it helps to prepare the lemon water the night before. The answer is a resounding no. Vitamin C is rapidly destroyed upon contact with air and light. If you let the juice sit overnight, by morning you will only be drinking acidic water with no protective properties. Squeeze your lemon right at the moment you drink it. I am also asked whether it's a good idea to take 1 gram vitamin C pills. Caution is needed. The body has an absorption limit per dose, and the excess is eliminated through urine. Also, if you have a history of kidney stones, such high doses can increase the risk of developing them. It is better to obtain nutrients in a staggered way through diet. Another recurring question in my practice is whether dry eyes truly improve with this nutritional change. The answer is an absolute yes. By reducing general tissue inflammation, the small glands in the eyelids resume producing the fatty layer of the tear film, preventing it from evaporating. This translates into less burning, zero sensation of grittiness, and immediate comfort. Omega-3s and vitamins are a balm for dryness. And to close our gathering today, I want to share the case of Doña Rosa, a charming 72-year-old patient who came to my office deeply discouraged after being diagnosed with early macular degeneration. She felt she would lose her independence. Upon reviewing her habits, we noticed an almost total absence of key antioxidants. I proposed a very simple plan: a kiwi at breakfast, spinach at lunch, and salmon twice a week. No expensive medications, no impossible diets. At 3 months, her specialist was surprised. The progression of the degeneration had slowed dramatically, and her visual acuity improved notably. Doña Rosa told me with a smile, "Doctor, the color came back to my days." That is pure biochemistry and the true power of nutrition. Of course, remember that diet does not replace visits to the ophthalmologist. Regular checkups are your best visual life insurance. If you notice straight lines that appear wavy, sudden flashes of light, a dark curtain in your vision, or intense pain, seek medical attention immediately. Don't let silent malnutrition rob you of your autonomy or triple your risk of falls due to poor visibility. The solution to protecting your vision is not in a distant laboratory. It is in the decisions you make every day when you sit down at the table. I have given you the complete map to shield your eyes. Now the ball is in your court. Take care of your vision. Share this advice with your loved ones, and allow your eyes to keep discovering a world full of vibrant colors and beautiful possibilities. Thank you very much for joining me on this channel. This is Dr. Richard Ben signing off. Until next time, and may you all enjoy excellent visual health.